Region 2 has long borne the reputation of being the Cinderella county. No one knows exactly why, but it conjures up the idea of a region blessed with fertile agricultural land left behind. But now its new leaders are determined to change that. This is the Essequibo Coast, part of the resource-rich land of plenty that neighboring Venezuela claims in a century-long cry that the arbitral award which defined the borders of the two countries, Guyana and Venezuela, is null and void. The region boasts lakes teeming with plant and animal life that are among the most stunning in the country, ripe for tourism development. Its sprawling rice fields testify to its agricultural history. And this, the Pomeroon, Guyana's deepest river, once fed the country and the Caribbean because of its fertile lands. Situated as it is at the tip of Guyana on the northeastern South American coast with the Atlantic lapping its coastline, the river has been the traffic point for vibrant trade as way back in the latter part of the 16th century when the Dutch set up a post here. In more recent times, the river has been one of the key entry points of a migration from the political and economic turmoil in Venezuela. The authorities here are ever cognizant of this new dynamic to the Essequibo region, known as Region 2, straddling Pomeroon, Suriname.
Region 2 is one of the regions that links us very closely with one of the biggest economies, that is Venezuela in the good times. We have quite a lot of, it is a very transient region, a lot of migrants, Guyanese to Venezuela, Venezuelan, Guyanese back home. So I think we have to invest a lot in the social development of Region 2. And that is one of the areas of our focus at this point in time, in terms of building capacity in healthcare and education support, in infrastructural development at the community level, as well as enhancing the overall economic development of Region 2.
The long-standing border controversy has been the so-called monkey on the back, as it has significantly hampered the development of the region. With the discovery of oil and gas offshore Guyana, Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro extended the claim of the Essequibo, claiming also the maritime space of the oil fields, setting off a last stand by Guyana to push the United Nations Secretary General to commit the matter for a final legal settlement. The new leaders responsible for the development of the Essequibo Coast want badly for it to shake off the Cinderella County tag.
Region 2 has tremendous potential. We have to move away from a region of potential as to a region that can actually accomplish what we deserve 50 plus years after independence.
Devanand Ramdat once served as the political chairman of Region 2, but now he is its REO, akin to CEO, managing its affairs. With the emergency budget last year, he was handed $4.7 billion to manage in 4 months.
Region 2 is and will remain for some time, for quite a while, despite of oil and gas as a new and emerging sector, Region 2 will remain an agriculture-based region. I think that we have to continue, and I've seen government taking that approach. The Minister of Agriculture was already in the region and had several meetings with key stakeholders of that particular sector. And I'm confident, and in fact he has indicated that he will continue to engage a wider cross-section of our region in developing a pathway to improve the agriculture sector. Rice is very key in the agriculture sector. Coconut is key. The fishing industry is of course in need of improvement, and so too are some other sectors. So I believe that while emphasis has to be placed on the agriculture sector, then we have to find new and innovative ways of creating jobs and employment opportunity for our people. Tourism has tremendous potential. You know, and I think a wide cross-section of the Guyanese population know how beautiful, how clean, how peaceful Region 2 is. And that makes me and the people of Region 2 very proud. I know for sure that we're one of the most hospitable set of people that exists in Guyana. And tourism, it has tremendous potentials. So I know over time we'll have to look at pathways and to create opportunities and avenues to have more jobs being created.
On this matter of development for the Essequibo Coast, the views are shared by central government. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Darmlal has already made a number of trips to the Essequibo region since he got the job in August last year. Getting from there involves crossing the mighty Essequibo River, which itself has 365 islands.
We have to ensure that Region 2 becomes part of the mainstream. Previously, Region 2 seemed to have been delinked from the rest of the country. I do not know why, maybe because of the distance, the estuary of the Essequibo River that separates Region 2 from the mainland. But importantly for us as a government, we are looking to have greater interventions and investments in Region 2 that go beyond physical infrastructure. One of the things that we're looking to do is to build human social capital in Region 2. And we expect that with all of the interventions pursued by our government in 2021, that we are going to see a transformation in the outlook of Region 2, as well as in the deportment of people in the region.
One of the key measures is ensuring that the rice industry, the main economic activity in the region, is sustained and grown.
Presently in the region, rice would have taken a major chunk. When I say chunk, in the aspect of cultivation, which we have approximately 35,000 acres cultivating. That is basically on the rice. So you can see that rice is one of the main agriculture activity taking place within the region. And so you can see generally income, where the income coming from. So if the rice sector do a little bad, you know what the spin-off effect, what will it have on the economy on the coast. There is about 2,100 farmers roughly cultivating. On the coast there is mostly small farmers.
The Ghana Rice Development Board engages with farmers to solve some of their most pressing problems, including paddy bug infestation, which can devastate the industry.
Until now, the paddy bug is challenging, not on the coast alone, throughout the country, but on the coast, paddy bug is one of the most dominant insects that affect farmers. When you say the most dominant insect, paddy bug can affect a farmer yield from 100 to 0%, right, in terms of yield, because it can destroy the entire crop, leaving him with anything. The extension officer normally do monitoring, and from the monitoring of the paddy bug, we enlighten farmers what is the situation with the bug, the level, and if there's a need for them to spray. We also do monitoring, and like off season or within the season, we doing some control on dams and meres. And well, paddy bug normally be in isolated areas. So in the isolated area, we try to control them before they start multiplying.
But while rice is the main agricultural activity, there is need for diversification, and central government and the regional administration have their eyes set on delivering on an earlier promise, the Aurora Land Development Project.
The Aurora Land Development Project, the People's Progressive Party Civic, while in government prior to 2015, had it very high up in the government's agenda over between 2015 and until the last election. Our forceful representation, our quality representation was ignored. We didn't manage to have that project being even given attention. And so
what's the idea?
The whole, I can't justify the actions of the previous government as to why we did not achieve that. But what I can say, it is probably one of the reasons why they are where they are presently. But precisely that is a project that will see abandoned lands being put into use, employment opportunities, and you know the the benefits that can be derived from that. More organic farming can be done, more not only in crops but livestock production can be done. 3,500 acres of land, I'm told, um, is a good amount of resources that we have resting that can be put into meaningful use. And we would want to ensure that that project is realized. We'll continue to push. It will require the region's input. It will require central government's input, the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, so that more than 3,000 acres of land can be put into use. And so it brings us a bit away from dealing traditionally with rice, but then other crops, because we find that our importation of other crops into the region is very high.
Right.
Yes, and as a rural region, I found that to be very surprising. If we are to move around into our local markets, we'll see that a lot of the vendors are procuring, they're purchasing those items from out of region too.
Well,
Simple things like okra, belange or eshallot. Yeah.
The Aurora Land Development Project has been on the cards for a while. It is lands that are supposed to be opened at the back of Aurora heading towards Mashabo Lake. And that is something that we have been contemplating for a while. And hopefully, as we move forward, we'll be able to get resources to do some work here. It will be a good investment that will bridge the gap between the village behind, which is the Mashabo Amranian village. The infrastructure will allow them to have greater access to the coastal road. But more importantly, Region 2 is an agricultural region. I think about 33,000 acres of land they plant in rice alone. And because of the circumstances of rice, I think that other types of agricultural products have to be cultivated as well in Region 2, and other types of agricultural investments have to be made. So we cannot alone just depend on one signature crop or one signature agricultural product.
the Pomeroon Riverlands, which carry a rich history of agriculture, is in need of some work. The regional administration knows this.
So the river dam of the Pomeroon, it has, with climate change and neglect over recent years, it has deteriorated and it will require empoldering. Drainage network will be needed so that farmers, Pomeroon was, as you know, was considered to be the breadbasket, not only of our region, but our country, and by extension, the Caribbean. Pomeroon is still productive. There is still hope. The support is needed for us, for the farmers and the residents to get that encouragement to continue their cultivation.
Region 2 is primarily agriculture, and so we have to make sure that our drainage and irrigation systems are all up to date. We also have to make sure that the Pomeroon area, which is heavily dependent on agriculture, it floods very often because of tidal effects as well as the type of investment that is required. So moving forward, we are also looking to put resources into the Pomeroon area to make sure that those arable lands are well occupied and get put into beneficial use.
The leadership of central government is investing in the region in helping to craft a development pathway and is welcomed by the regional administration. They know that this is crucial.
The whole idea that the government involves us, there's a participatory style in the management of government affairs. The fact that you can make contact with ministries and other agencies of the government to have matters being addressed. Only recently, His Excellency was in the region, attending to several matters. We're happy about that on an outreach, something that is unprecedented. It's quite historic to have a head of state coming on the ground with key officers to address several matters that were pending, not only for the past 5 years, but many, many matters that existed previously. And I'm certain that there is going to be a review and analysis so that we try as fast as possible to address issues that are affecting our people.
The issues affecting people sometimes appear small, but they have a big impact. To explain what we mean, we go to the Pomeroon River, situated between the Essequibo River and the Orinoco. Here, Everything is done by boat. At the community of Jacklow in the river, we find Mr. Abdul Jabbar. He has been contracted by the regional administration to build boats to meet the critical transportation needs in the river.
Well, my father used to build boat, right? And so also in school those days, we used to go to a workshop named Connie Adams. He used to learn us to build boat. You understand? Jack too. You live in a river, and them time that was we didn't have plenty boat building. So, follow it up.
Mr. Jabbar builds boats for specific needs and for specific river terrain.
One is a bateau bow, we call it a bateau bow, and one is a straight bow. That is where the stem comes.
So, why the difference?
Well, the difference is mostly the stem bow take in the sea. You could go in the sea with the stem bow, but these you just take the sea, but you need to durability like that. Take the waves them more better.
The boats commissioned to be built are used to transport children going to school, transporting medicines and health workers to the villages in the river, and getting sick patients out. Sometimes residents living in the river do not see a doctor for months, so these boats serve a critical need. Other small projects having a big impact include fixing bridges in the communities.
This is a project that is in the David James housing scheme in Charity. There was an old wooden bridge, almost in the collapse stage, that was here, but it was very impossible for the amount of activity that was going on in this place for people to traverse this bridge. There's a sawmill here, among other activity that is ongoing here. And so we were able to accomplish this project from our 2020 budget. They connect, especially in terms of the bridges, they able to connect and make access more easy for residents. Apart from bridges, we have revetment going on. Right in Charity here, there's another project ongoing, which is the revetment at Bamboo Dam. There's an immense erosion taking place there, and so it will save the Charity housing scheme as well. There's another revetment in Dartmouth away from here, where the sea sluice, there's immense erosion taking place there again. And so that will bring some form of comfort to the livelihood of the residents and people who would benefit from this.
Fixing roads in the region is also a top priority for the government.
The directive from His Excellency is that the roads that we have to rebuild across all the country, but of course in Region 2, would have to be upgraded to asphaltic concrete. Previously, we've had roads of a different texture, different material. Those roads were, left dilapidated for a long time. So we have to rebuild those.
Healthcare services in the region are below par when compared to those offered in the other regions across the country, so small fixes at the main hospital as Suddy mean a sense of relief for residents.
I can tell you one of the new services that we'll be offering is that we never had a digital dental x-ray, where if you have a bad tooth and you want to do extraction or some sort of that, we never had a digital dental x-ray. And so 2020 budget would have facilitated us to have that new equipment for us to improve our service that we are offering in dental department. We also managed to get 5 new cardiac beds, which will serve well in the emergency and in the ICU area. We're also going to try to get one to the COVID isolated area in the event of we have any critical patient there. We also would have managed to get a new diathermy machine, which is used in the theater. One that we have, but it would have lived the time span. And so we're experiencing some problems with it. So we would have managed to secure a new diathermy machine. It's a machine that assists in surgery in the theater. So with that, we can have surgery being efficient and a faster time. Prior to September, since the COVID pandemic struck Guyana, most of the services were suspended in Saudi. However, in September, we would have reopened those services because we've noticed that COVID isn't going anywhere, and so people need to have those services again. And so we would have decided to have our clinics reopen, surgeries being done. We established some protocol that we can work with. For example, we have the rapid test. We would have benefited a couple of thousands from other donors, international donors, and so Saudi, we collected some, and so we're doing that now to facilitate surgery. So we're doing a rapid test on somebody just to be on the safe side. But we have all our surgeries and all the other services reopened to the general public. We are also though monitoring the amount of people coming to the hospital on a daily basis for these services. For example, if we have surgery clinic on Monday, we try to have at least 10 to 15 patients maximum on that day, so we can able to maintain social distancing still. We have basic surgeries like ornia. We operate on uterine fibroids. We do hysterectomy. We would do emergency for appendicitis. We would do hemorrhoids and fistulas. Other major surgeries we would send to Georgetown. We would refer them to Georgetown. Perhaps because of our theater, it is still not up to standard. So we are trying now to procure more equipment for the recently constructed the infrastructure. It was constructed about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, but it was never equipped to function. So now, also to say that there were defective work on this theater. When it rains, water was running into the building. So we are trying to rectify those defects and also trying to secure equipment to have that theater running.
With the onset of COVID-19, the Saudi hospital has retrofitted a new maternity unit into a COVID-19 unit and has acquired the equipment to treat COVID-19 patients and serve as an isolation facility.
We would have managed to procure another ventilator because we have an ICU with 5 beds, and at present there's only 1 ventilator. With COVID, we would have also secured 7 sanitization cabins. So we would put those cabins at strategic point, like before you enter the hospital, before you enter isolation, before you enter quarantine, and other strategic area along the region.
When it comes to housing needs, that too is being met. Here, Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell recently in the region to distribute land titles. And while there, he also commissioned what will become the Essequibo Coast's first gated community. It's a project being undertaken by the Jagmahan Business Empire and being built on the ocean side.
It's always better to be on the ocean side.
Why?
It's that fresh breeze you get directly from the ocean, the peace, the tranquility and everything that comes with oceanfront living.
Jagmahan has taken 30 acres of underdeveloped lands and developing an exclusive housing community in a private-public partnership.
Windsor Castle, it's like a central location on the Essequibo Coast. It's in proximity to most of the attractions. The Lake Mainstay Resort, minutes away, the Hampton Court Aerodrome, the Charity Market, the Tongue of Anna Regina, and many other facilities. Our idea behind that project is to bring affordable housing to everyone who choose to come to the Essequibo Coast to settle or retire.
For the owner, Tamish Jagmohan, it is part of a larger dream to transform the image of the Essequibo Coast.
Well, Essequibo is very dear to us, and we want to give back something to the people here. When they talk Essequibo, people tend to think it's all low income, away from everything else. And, people kind of put it in the form of like I don't want to use the word back down kind of setting, but that's what they think about. But we're going to change that.
The project was speedily approved by the Central Housing and Planning Authority, keen to ensure housing development on the Essequibo coast as well.
We welcome investment. We welcome investment by everyone. We just want to ensure that the main investors ensure that they keep their bond to the people within the region, to the citizens, that we have good work, quality work, and of course, well, I'm aware of their timely manner because the Jagmohan family, it's pretty huge in the construction sector, so they have a reputation in itself. But we also want to ensure that their response and the community that they're trying to build, the gated community, and I do hope maybe he moves towards ensuring probably as far as possible that it be a green community too, that will have a difference for the community here on the Essequibo coast.
To manage the security in the region, including patrolling the rivers, is Guyana's lone female divisional police commander, Superintendent Crystal Robinson. Rising to the height she has not been easy, especially during her studies.
You gotta meet the classes, you gotta go back to work. You remember, you're still a housewife. You have children to deal with. You still have to start your day. You still have the member public to deal with. But those challenges was good for me because it keep you thinking on your toes. And I always tell people, in this life here, we must prepare for failure at times. Because if you don't prepare for failure, and you're always heading for success, then you're heading nowhere. Because at times you would fail, and when you fail, you go back and revisit how you fail, and you put a better system in place.
She is happy to be the police commander. Was not surprised at all that she was promoted to the post.
For me, I like outdoors. I like being outdoor. And my style of management is the walkabout management. I love to be outdoors. This office thing is not for me. So I would like to go into the community, meet with people, hear the cries, hear the advice. When I come back, I'll put everything in a nutshell, see which one I would take, for now, which one I would put down, then pick up. Because everywhere you go, you meet people, they have their own culture and their own values. So when I came to Essequibo, they call it the Cinderella city. But I see Essequibo as more as a tourist attraction with all the lakes and the beach. And then when you go into the missions and you see how people living, it's a different lifestyle from where I work on the West Coast, the East Coast, and in Georgetown. So I'm here now sitting as the commander.
Just as she moved to the Essequibo, she had to face up to great personal material loss, but she has not wavered and has shown remarkable resilience.
I was transferred here on the 31st of July. And on the 9th of August, we had a beauty pageant after like 30 years in the force. The then Deputy Commissioner, Ms. Graham, who was head of the Association of Women Police, we had a countrywide beauty pageant. So I traveled the Friday morning to go to the pageant because as the divisional commander, you had to sponsor rank to go there. But I wasn't sponsoring Essequibo. I was sponsoring Georgetown, a division where I came from. Mr. Pazram was responsible for the girl from Essequibo. So I traveled there the morning, go across there. And while I was at the culture center, I got a call from my neighbor. She told me my house is on fire. And she said they called the fire service. The fire service is there. But what can I do from Georgetown to here? I got allowed the fire people to do their work. When I came, I see everything down to the ground. So I say it's now to pick up a new life. That chapter close of my life. And now in the stage of rebuilding. You can't cry, it wouldn't bring back anything. They say don't cry over spilt milk. Just take it as you go, bite the bullet and run.
Superintendent Robinson loves policing. That is no challenge for her being a commander.
Persons who ask me, how you feel in a man's world? This is not a man's world. This is a man and a woman's world. Because as the saying goes, behind every successful man, there's a good woman. So it's time the woman come from behind the man and go to the front, and let's just see who's responsible for the success.
In managing the Essequibo, she has an open door policy.
I talk to people from Essequibo living overseas. I've never seen they will call me, congratulate me about the good work I'm doing. You know, people will just pop in into the office to see who is the commander, just to say hi, hello, keep the good work up. Some would leave words of advice to you, tell you about the community. And people, they're free to call me at any time.
With all the crucial areas being looked at for improvement, a strategic plan is being developed to ensure the development of Region 2 and to ensure that that development reaches its citizens.
We have to make sure that every part of our country get resources. Region 2 is no different. So we are going to be investing heavily in healthcare in Region 2. We have some projects where we are going to be rehabilitating the two main hospitals, Oscar Joseph at Charity as well as the Saudi Public Hospital. We will also be investing heavily in community health facilities. In education, well, of course, education is under challenge now because of COVID, but we have quite a lot of resources to gear towards that kind of work. But I think beyond that, the soft things are what are needed. For example, we are now building a better relationship in the services that we provide to our pensioners and elderly people. A lot of the facilities have to be upgraded. We have also sought to have persons from within given communities be the link between the government and those elderly people. And elderly and vulnerable. We have quite a few disabled persons as well in Region 2. We have, challenge of parents not being able to take care of their children properly as a result of, every agricultural community has so many challenges. And one of it has to do with the impact of rice price. And because Region 2 is the entire economy of Region 2 is basically rice based. So we have to start building lives at the community level. And also, when the president was there just a few weeks ago, we have quite a number of Venezuelan Guyanese who have returned home. So we have to spend special effort to make sure that they're well taken care of and that they're provided the services that every other Guyanese ought to be provided. Region 2 also, we have to enhance the logistics between this part of Guyana and Region 2. So making sure that we collaborate very closely with the Ministry of Public Works to have the boats at operating at optimum capacity at all times. And very soon too, we will have to do some rehabilitative work at Supanam Stelling, because not the Stelling where the steamers go, but where the speedboats go. Because I do not think that the services provided there are, they're not very safe, and I think we have to reinvest in that area. The last government built a Stelling, quote unquote, but it has been of no use. It is very unsafe. It is unstable, and I think moving forward we have to upgrade the services in that area. We are looking to have greater interventions and investments in Region 2 that go beyond physical infrastructure. One of the things that we're looking to do is to build human social capital in Region 2. And we expect that with all of the interventions pursued by our government in 2021, that we are going to see a transformation in the outlook of Region 2, as well as in the deportment of people in the region.
So I've never been happy as a public official as I am happy now. And I think while there is tremendous public expectation, if we are to do an honest review, then it will be reflective that people are beginning to feel that there is a direction, there is hope that this government is providing.